I don't want to sound like a downer, but the Acolyte cancellation could have just saved Star Wars.
Welcome to Unleashed. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. Here are the guys.
Hey everyone, welcome to Unleashed. Give us a like and subscribe if you're new here. Check us out. We're talking Star Wars. We do it all the time. Wednesdays, usually Wednesday nights, we have our live podcast, RebelsCon podcast. Check it out. I'm James. Thanks for stopping by. I want to talk about the Acolyte and how it failed miserably. And no one watched it, and people watched it, and they want a second season, but they're not going to get a second season. But maybe they will, but it went way over budget. We're going to talk about all of that and how all of that attributed possibly to the savior of Star Wars.
Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
And how does that work? What is that going to do? A couple days ago, I did a video on the possibility of a rumor going on by WDW Pro on YouTube saying that Lucasfilm Disney wants Jon Favreau to head Star Wars. They want him to be the big head honcho of Star Wars, oversee all of the projects going forward.
I have spoken.
Which sounds great, surface level, right? Great. Let him cook. He is chef. Let him do what he does. But how did we get there? If that is the case, how did we get there? And how did we get where we are now, where we need a story like this to reinvigorate the fandom, to get everybody excited again? Like, how did we get this far? And it all kind of comes down to the reaction that the Acolyte ultimately got. I wasn't a major fan of the Acolyte. I thought there was a lot of good in there, but probably more bad than good. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I would have watched the second season most likely, because the character of the stranger, Chimere, that's a character I'm like, yeah, develop that guy. That's who I want to see. Let's go on that journey some more. Ultimately, that's not what we got, obviously. And there's rumors about what Acolyte Season 2 could have been, what it might have been, what it should have been, what Season 1 should have been. But that is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it saving Star Wars. Star Wars was a brand. Disney bought this thing almost 12 years ago now. There's a couple, like next week, actually, it'll be 12 years since Disney purchased Lucasfilm for $4 billion. Since then, the reports are coming out. Hollywood Reporter reporting that they've made over $12 billion in profit in that time, which is actually more of a profit than they've made from Marvel. And Marvel they bought for a little bit less, but 3 or 4 years prior to Lucasfilm. So they've actually had more of a profit with Star Wars, with Lucasfilm, than they have with Marvel. Now, their losses, we don't know about that. I'm sure they've had more losses with Lucasfilm.
I have spoken.
But those numbers have magically not been released. Ultimately, though, where we're at is this: we have this thing called the Acolyte coming.
What are you?
People were maybe excited, maybe not excited. What are they going to do? And then the show came, and I don't know if the show was what anybody anticipated. And I mean that both negatively and positively. I think people who liked it might not have been like, this isn't the show I was expecting, but I really like this. And the people that didn't like it were like, well, this is not the show that I was expecting. I don't like this. Wash it away. People were complaining that it broke lore, broke canon, broke it all. My opinion of it is it was just sloppy, lazy writing for the most part. A lot of mediocre acting and set decks. But I'm not a critic. I'm not here to talk about it. I like Star Wars. And like I said, I liked where it ended up going. I liked where it led to. Now, are we ever going to get a conclusion to that? Doubtful. We'll probably never see the Stranger again, which is very unfortunate. I thought it was a great character with a lot of possibilities. Can't wait to not read the novel about him. Anyway, the thing is Star Wars, like I said, made that profit of $12 billion. It was the Midas touch. It had the Midas touch. Anything Star Wars touched turned to gold, right? You put a BB-8 sticker on bananas, I gotta buy the bananas. You put Grogu on a shirt, you gotta buy Grogu. Like, Star Wars was unbeatable in terms of marketing. You could throw Star Wars on any merchandise you want, and you're going to make a buck from it. But over time, fans have been very vocal about it, and people are calling them toxic fans. And I've got a video I'm working on about toxic fans and what that actually means and does it exist or not. But ultimately, we're at a point now where Star Wars fans have almost said enough is enough. Let's get this train back on the tracks, because, they had some missteps here and there. A lot of people, obviously The Last Jedi is what really started it, and it snowballed from there. Mandalorian kind of reeled it back in, but then Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian Season 3, Ahsoka, Andor, all these shows, right? Eventually people just started to be like, I don't like what you're doing. I've liked most of what we've gotten, probably the majority of what we've gotten. There have been stinkers in there. There have been episodes I haven't liked. There have been aspects of it that I haven't enjoyed as well. But for the most part, I've liked what we've gotten. Not all of it's been great and perfect, and I kind of wish some of it had been better and elevated to the higher standards that Star Wars should achieve to be. Star Wars shouldn't just be something that we consume. It should be something that we look forward to, and it enhances our fandom, right? Like, we want to talk about Star Wars. When Mandalorian Season 3 came out, even though everybody says they didn't like it, I did a bunch of videos over on Digital Charcuterie that were like theory videos, speculation videos, things like that. And people were coming to those videos and watching them and commenting, and it was a lot of fun. Even though people weren't enjoying the season, that show, the reason why I think Favreau is perfect for heading Star Wars is because that show, more than any other show, maybe Ahsoka with Filoni, but that show more than any really made people start to speculate and have fun theories. Again, your Snoke theory sucks. Like, it was fun again. It was fun to be a Star Wars fan again because you get to talk about what potentially could happen. None of it obviously ever plays out, but you get to talk about it. You get to have fun. You get to converse with other fans. That's what it's all about. But eventually fandom started to get tired, and it started to be very tiring. And then, of course, you hear how instead of filmmakers, they hire activists, and it's DEI and it's woke and it's this and then all these buzzwords that everybody uses to get the views, which I just did. Thank you very much for coming by. But ultimately, it all culminated in The Acolyte. And The Acolyte, they say that it was review bombed before it came out. Maybe, probably. There's a lot of dicks out there for sure, 100%. But ultimately, is that what it came down to? Or was it just not a very good show? Did people just not connect with this show? Not enough people clearly watched it. They didn't watch it enough for it to be renewed. It was canceled a month after the finale aired. But this is why it's a good thing. It's a good thing for Star Wars because it's a wake-up call for Lucasfilm and for Disney. Star Wars no longer has the Midas touch that it once had. Not everything that it touches turns to gold anymore. That's not the case. They need to take a step back, take a breath, reevaluate their plan, reevaluate what Star Wars is and what Star Wars means to not them, to the community of Star Wars fans who are the ones that are coming in droves to watch you in the theater, to watch you on Disney Plus, to subscribe to Disney Plus, to buy the merchandise that is way too expensive and non-existent at this point in time, but we will scour the internet for whatever gems we can find because we love that stuff so much. They need to figure that out. And I think The Acolyte was a key to that. It was the door opening saying, okay, we've really screwed up with the fandom here. It's not just fans not watching it. It's the casual fans. The casual audience isn't stopping by for this anymore. There's a disconnect now between Star Wars and viewers as a whole. So obviously the diehards like me who has a podcast channel and people like that are coming by to watch it. But the casuals aren't. They're not invested anymore. We've lost that. We've lost the necessity, the feel of necessity that you need to watch Star Wars. The FOMO. No one has the fear of missing out anymore. It's like, the Star Wars, I don't need to watch that. Whatever. Who cares? Tell me how it ends. And it doesn't end. None of them end. That's where it is. And I think Acolyte was the first step in us ushering in a new Star Wars era where now they have to actually say, hey, we need to start to appease the fans. Because you see now all these articles, is Disney bad at Star Wars? Comes out, right? You see that. You see the Variety doing the toxic fandom thing like that. These companies are taking notice. And you can blame toxic fandoms, but at the end of the day, it comes down to quality storytelling and quality productions. That's what people want to see. They want to see something that they can care about, and they will be obsessed again. They're going to get involved in that fandom once again, but you got to convince them that what you're doing is worthy. And right now, I don't think a lot of people have a lot of faith in Star Wars, and The Acolyte showed that. The Acolyte ratings showed that. I think the Andor ratings also kind of showed that. They're like, here's a secondary character from a spin-off film that was based on a line in a crawl. And I thought it was an excellent show. I thought Andor was phenomenal, but it didn't have high ratings. It cost a ton of money to make, but didn't have high ratings. And I think Acolyte was like a bottleneck, and Acolyte just kind of burst through. And now they can see it. They look back and they like, I don't think they can blame toxic fandoms anymore. And I don't think they can blame any of that. I think they have to look in the mirror and say, maybe what we're making, like, even if The Acolyte is, let's say you like The Acolyte, I'm not going to argue that, but let's say, even if they say, you know what, we're proud of The Acolyte, we liked what we did to The Acolyte, but maybe that's not what Star Wars is all about. Maybe Star Wars is what Star Wars has always been. Maybe they take a step back and they're like, maybe we don't worry about focusing on twins that make no sense, that aren't very compelling. Maybe they focus on other things in the lore and mythology of Star Wars, and they move on. And again, I think the Rey movie could work easily. They just have to figure out a good plot and give her something to do in the movie. But ultimately, that's up to them, not up to me. So I think Acolyte is actually the first step in the salvation of Star Wars for the fans. I think they're forced to now take a look at it, take a step back, see it for what it actually is, and see what fans want. I think fans' criticism of Star Wars, and I haven't had too many. Like, I'm pretty, I think over here, me and Brock, we're pretty laid back guys. We just show us something entertaining, and we're going to be like, that was fine. But maybe we need something more than just fine. At the end of the day, maybe we something that's Star Wars. It should be impactful and powerful, and it should be the thing that everybody is talking about, and everybody's so wowed by it, the wow factor of Star Wars. And I think Mandalorian had that. I think The Force Awakens, for all of its flaws, I think it really had that because the excitement level to get there was peak, right? I don't know if the Mando and Grogu movie is going to have that excitement level that Force Awakens did. I don't know. I mean, it was a 10-year gap between movies, and it'll be a 7-year gap. That's still significant, but it's not going to have it. Star Wars has lost a little bit of its luster. They need to get it back. I think the Acolyte failing is showing that. I think they're going to actually take some of the criticism that they've heard from the quote-unquote toxic fans that might, there are a lot of toxic fans. I am not saying there are not a lot of toxic fans, and they are the most annoying on the planet. But some fans that are just negative on it are actually negative on it because they love it. And I've seen comments that really tick me off and comments that I look at and I say, you know what? You are a genuine fan who is not happy with the direction that this franchise has gone in the last few years. And I think now those are the kind of fans that the Disney and Lucasfilm have to look at and say, okay, how did we lose these? Because those are the ones you want. The toxic ones are dicks. They're not coming back. They're whatever. They're doing what they're doing. But it's the ones that are like, I really want to like this, but I just don't agree with the direction they've taken it. Those are the fans that Disney and Lucasfilm have to look at and say, well, what is it about Star Wars that these people like? Because that is the essence of Star Wars. That is what it's all about. It's about mythology, lore, timelessness, and you can't be timeless if you make it too modern. That's my take. I think the Acolyte eventually will be a very good thing for Star Wars in the long run. Hopefully we get some more Chimera Stranger stuff going on because his helmet was cool and the character had a lot of good development. But the rest of the show, whatever. I mean, look, lightsabers killed people again, which was very good. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Can Star Wars be saved? And was the Acolyte the first step to its salvation? Thanks, everybody, for watching. Give us a like and subscribe. And until next time, may the force of others be with you.
Hey, scumbags. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.